Oh, hey. Didn't see you there. Good morning, rise and shine. Welcome to In the House with Lewis, where we learn something new every week from the cozy, comfy couch at home. I was just finishing my morning beverage, cheers, but I think it could use a little something. Bottoms up. Seems right. Okay, now let's talk wedding planning. Specifically, let's talk about how wedding planning works when it comes to divvying up all those tasks and duties between you and your partner. To answer those questions and even more, I'm in the house with Eve Rodsky, the author of the New York Times bestseller, Fair Play. Eve uses her Harvard Law School education and years of organizational management and family mediation training to help couples around the world get everything in order. Hey Eve, how are you?
Hi Lewis, it's so good to see you.
It's great to see you too. I'm just at home enjoying a little morning OJ. I wish that we could be hanging out IRL right now, but it's fun to be chatting with you. I feel like the best way for us to begin this convo is at the beginning. So can you walk us through how you started working on Fair Play?
Fair Play started with a text my husband sent me that said, I'm surprised you didn't get blueberries. It was not how I envisioned my marriage and work combo to be. I started sobbing for my marriage because in my dreams, Lewis, if my marriage is going to end, it would have been like a dramatic fight in the Caribbean or like my affair with an NFL player or something like that.
Not over blueberries.
Right, not over off-season blueberries. But that's where I found myself really thinking to myself that if you don't talk about it or you don't communicate, one day you just end up thinking you're going to end your marriage over blueberries.
So Eve, tell us about how you came to realize how time should be valued and how you value time.
It's a great question, Lewis. So I interviewed 500 men and women in hetero cisgender relationships, same-sex gay couples, same-sex lesbian couples, to find out what was really happening. And I guess the good news for Fair Play, the bad news for society was that this phenomenon of a she-fault parent or a caregiving parent, right, where one person is doing 2/3 or more of what it takes to run a home and family. That's not new. The real core finding wasn't that the small problems, even though it was presenting that way. It was that men, women in society, we view men's time as finite, like diamonds, and we view women's time as infinite, like sand. And I say that not in an angry way, because there is a solution, that's what Fair Play is, but it was an interesting finding to me. And so when we can come to the table as partners and say we each value each other's time equally, we each get choice over how we get to use our time.
So Eve, what happens when couples have different standards or different values?
When we're talking about establishing our values and standards, it's understanding how you communicate. And that's first step is you should have to know you are communicating and understand your vulnerability. But that's step one. Step two is to remember that when emotion is high, cognition is low. That emotion is high, cognition is low communication is toxic. So say to your partner or to your roommate, let's do a Sunday check-in. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Set the night every night now because things have gotten a little more hectic. That practice becomes perfect, actually. Not perfect in that you're always perfectly communicating, but perfect in that how can you be avoidant to me, Lewis, right? If we're just keep coming back to the table every single day, it becomes less scary. Now, step 3 about establishing your values and standards is starting with your why.
I feel like it's sometimes when you have the why, then you begin to understand the person you're with and their needs so much more than you would if they were just speaking, as you said, in I statements or just saying like, go away, and then you're just going to seethe about it. I think the why is such a key. So Eve, with all that in mind, should responsibilities around the house or with wedding planning, should those be divided up 50-50 or how should things work?
So Fair Play is predicated on ownership, not 50-50. And that's really the idea that there should be no defaults, right? Nothing should fall on one person in a wedding planning scenario, especially. And so how do you set expectations? Well, these are the Fair Play Your Wedding cards. Fair Play is cards that represent your entire domestic ecosystem. The Fair Play Your Wedding cards represent all that you need to do to plan a wedding. So one of the cards is called music and entertainment. So if I just hand it to you, Lewis, we're getting married, handle music. So we're together, we're having our margaritas, and we sit down with the Fair Play or wedding cards. And I want to talk today, since we only have 10 minutes during our check-in, Louis, let's talk about our music. Cards often work as a third party. It's a third party tool where you can say, I'm not telling you we need to discuss the wedding cake. The cards are telling you that. So let's sit down and let's just go through this, and we'll do one a night.
So one of the biggest concepts in your book is CPE, so conception, planning, execution. Can you explain what that means and how they work and how maybe those three parts work together?
The idea of CPE is that idea of intrinsic motivation. How do I get you to do something with accountability and trust where I don't have to remind you and quote unquote nag you? So what CPE means is that you're completing a card. When you're holding a card, whether it's a wedding card, like wedding cake, you hold this you are the project manager of this card from start to finish. Doesn't mean, Louis, I'm not allowing you to pick your color and helping me pick the color for the wedding cake. But if I'm in charge of this, I'm in charge of it from the conception of it all the way to getting it, wheeling it down, the aisle of our banquet hall.
Can you talk to us about how your original, the OG Fair Play deck transformed into the Fair Play Your Wedding deck and how we got here?
I was worrying that the wedding planning process of everything falling on one person was going to lead to some of those patterns later on in Fair Play that I was worried about.
It's that CPE.
CPE, own it, right? This one, wedding guest management. That's a little bit difficult, right? You have to set up that website. You have to remind guests when they text you where they're coming in, where they're registering, what the room block discount code is. Ownership, who's handling that? The venue and location, who wants to be in charge of talking to the venue? But what it is, again, is it's the high level tasks. It's not the granular nature of what CPE is, because that will be different to everybody. But as what we said before, it's the start to finish. If you're in charge of the budget, you're watching that budget from the early plan of the budget to making sure that you don't go over.
So my last question for you, Eve, is what is the most important thing for couples to keep in mind while wedding planning?
The life-changing magic of the long-term thinking. Not looking at it day to day. You may say to yourself, I just want to take this day by day because it's too overwhelming. I will say the opposite. Assess the whole situation up front. Like I said, whether it's with the Fair Play cards where you're looking at your holistic wedding and then going night by night, 10 minutes a night, but the investment in sitting down and understanding your why about the bigger things are going to help you with the smaller things.
That's awesome. I mean, I think people might not know at first glance how so many of these things can actually translate to taking the long view and really understanding how it plays into a larger and longer dynamic for relationships. Thank you so much for joining us in the house, Eve. I had such a fun time talking with you. It was so great to learn more about Fair Play, and I am 100% obsessed with you. I feel like I need you to just walk around and follow me and tell me how to organize my life and everything. How can our followers reach you and find you on social media?
Yes, at Eve Rodsky, I answer DMs, or someone helps me answer DMs. It's my voice. We get back to you. Also, fairplaylife.com is actually a place that has a lot of resources.
Thank you so much for joining us, Eve. I had so much fun. And everyone watching, comment down below. Tell your friends, share. I feel like everyone needs to know this. Everyone needs a little Eve in their lives. Thank you so much for watching.